Hi FlossTube. This is Jordan here at Stitching Espresso, and this is FlossTube number 7. Today is February 7th, ironically. So thank you all for coming back to see me. If you're a returning viewer and if you're new, thank you for joining me. I hope you like what you see. If you do, please like and subscribe and come back and find out more about my stitching adventures as things go on. I have a lot to show you today, so today is probably going to be a pretty long video. I'll try to edit out all the blabbering that I tend to do, but I would grab a beverage, grab a snack, grab some stitching, because we're going to be here for a while. This is a end of December, all of January, a little bit of February update. I had intended to come back and see you guys on the 31st, but unfortunately that day just plans changed frequently, so I wasn't able to record that day. So I am now here on February 7th to show you what I've been up to. So first things first, as always, are going to be finishes. I didn't have any FFOs this month, so no FFOs to show you, but I did get a finish, and I've been so proud of myself for keeping up on this. I am working on the 12 monthly minis from Primrose Cottage. I did the January pillow this past month. I meant to tell you guys this at the beginning of the video. This is a new phone, so it's a new camera. I'm still figuring out all of the different settings and stuff because I switched from iPhone to Android. More on that later. But, so I'm still figuring out, like, the focus and all that fun stuff. So if things look a little bit different or a little bit wonky, that's why. Okay, so the January pillow is this one right up here. I'll get that in there for you. So, super duper cute, and obviously you'll get to see it in close up here in just a minute. But yeah, so I worked on that this month, and I did a total of 94 stitches to get this done. There is no here's where it was before, because this is a start and finish, by the way. Forgot to mention that at the beginning. Let me get my fabric wrangled here, and this is what it looks like. So let me fold that over. There we go. See if we have the same issues where it wants to focus on my face instead of my stitching. So lots of white, which pops beautifully on this fabric. And there we go. I was like, I can't tell if that's focusing on everything else behind me or if that's focusing on the stitching. See if I tap my phone, if that'll work. Oh, okay. We'll pull it back. There we go. So that way you can see it. And yeah, I used all the called for DMC on this. Love these colors and just the way that this white pops on this fabric, which this is 32 count Cafe au lait from Fiber on a Whim. And you may have noticed as I've been unfolding this, I have not started the February pillow, even though it is February. I will start that after we finish up with current plans, which again, I will get to later in the video. Alrighty. And so that was also my only new start for January. So done with finishes, done with new starts. Now on to the whips, which is the biggest section of this video. Now, I worked on a lot of different things this month, which I know I said in previous videos that I was really enjoying getting a lot of stitching done on a few projects, and that by having multiples that ends up making one, longer videos and longer time to edit, so these videos don't get out to you as quickly. But it will make sense once you hear about my plans for this month. And I'm not going to do before and after segments for anything that I did less than 300 stitches on, just because you may not necessarily be able to see all of the changes. So let's get started. First thing we're going to talk about is gridiron grind stitching, because I only have one additional update on this one. I have been working on Frogwarts Year 4 for that, which this is the pattern. This is from the Black Needle Society. And like I've mentioned in previous videos, this is not available to the public yet, but it will be once all of the, once the series is complete and the retreats are done. So there's a nice close-up of the pattern for you. And this one I only did 120 stitches for our last game of the season. Unfortunately, the Chiefs did not do very well this year, and so we did not make it to the playoffs, which is sad, but it's somebody else's turn, and that's okay. We can't be great all the time, and this is the first time this is the first time in a long time that we've actually been good. So I'm happy with the run we've had. But I'm excited to see the Seahawks and the Patriots in the Super Bowl tomorrow. but glad I don't necessarily have to do any stitching for it. And because I only did 120 stitches, I'm not going to show you before and after, but here is where it is now. Hopefully you can see that. Yeah, you can. Okay, good. So there's a nice overview, and then I'll bring it up close. So I think since the last time you saw it, it's been so long ago, I don't remember exactly what I did. I'm pretty sure, yeah, I definitely went in and filled in the goblet here, and I definitely put in more of the fire for sure, and I think I did more of the base. I think all of the fire stitching was already in, so I don't think I did that. And I know I've worked over in this tombstone area, but I think that was on previous video, so I think it was mainly coming back in and filling this in. And I have discovered on this project that while color completing is fun, because of all this fiddly maze, I can't color complete on this project, except for maybe in a section. But I think what I'm going to go back to doing is going back to doing motif stitching. And the reason for that is I was trying to decide after I'd finished up this fire stitching the last time where I was going to go. And I realized that I believe it is this segment right here is one stitch too short. And I was going to try to fudge it, but because of the way that this maze is incorporated and the fact that I have so much left to do up here, fudging it is not going to work. I would have to do some major fudging because you have them, where'd my pattern go? Because you've got like Stupefy and you've got all the lettering, you've got the mermaid, like all of this would have to get fudged, and I was like, I'm not dealing with that. So unfortunately what that means is I'm going to have to go in and rip out, I'm going to have to rip this out, I'm going to have to rip this out, and I'm going to have to rip this out too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to finishing motifs and just working from left to right. And then when I get to this part, I'll frog it and fix it. Because I don't really want to frog right now. And this project's going to probably go away at least until March. So, because I have other Frogwarts projects I can work on that don't need to be frogged. So that's probably going to go sit in timeout for a little while until I'm in the mood, or I want to just work my way across and then frog. So we'll see how that goes. I'm also getting used to a different camera placement, so sorry if I'm looking the wrong direction periodically, because my camera is on this side now, whereas I think when I was filming with my iPhone, it was over there. So bear with me as we get adjusted. Okay, so that was gridiron grind stitching, and I got to 34.04% on Frogwarts Year 4. And as I've talked about in other videos, my goal is for all of my Frogwarts pieces to be done by the end of the year. We'll see if that happens. Okay. Next set of stitching is my Great British Bake Off stitching. I'm so close, guys. Still a little bit left. So from episode 8, which I had to do 3,000 stitches for episode 8, I was working on Ghosties and Gourds by Hands On Design. I did open all of my bags, but I didn't think about getting all my patterns out of their plastic bags, so bear with me. I know some of you guys like the crinkles though, so there you go. All right, so this is what that looks like when it's all done. And this was, this was the project assigned to the person who won Star Baker in episode 8, which I'm pretty sure this person is going to be the one who wins, and so I'm going to have to do a lot of stitching because this person is assigned 1,000 stitches. And so, yeah, I think between the finishing up the stitching that I'm doing for episode 9 and then the finale, like, it's going to be a lot. So who knows? I might be June before I'm done with this challenge, but we'll see. All right, so here's where it was before. And here's where it is now. Look at all that progress. Oh, sorry, my voice just cracked. So, yeah, I did a lot of work. Sorry, it's wrinkly. I don't iron things until I'm ready to fully finish them. So I did 3,026 stitches on this over the course of 12 days. Now, I'm pretty sure when I started this, I didn't even have this first banner done. So I've completely finished this one. I did this one in its entirety, And then I'm nearly done with this one. I just have to fill in the rest of this box here. And then there's some Smyrna crosses to do over here. And then I have the tip at the bottom, and then we're done. So my plan is I'm going to mark this one in my notes as being close to finished, so that once when I get to a point in the year where I can focus on finishing things, this one will come back out and be done, because there's no reason to take this in. Oh, also, sorry if you see a reflection over here. I'm trying to light up the other side of my face because of the window here, so I will pay more attention to what that light is doing to my projects as I show them to you. So yeah, my arm, I think, is unfortunately going to be lit up. But yeah, so there's no reason for this one to go into 2026 or 2027 as a whip. So this will definitely get done before the end of the year. And if I don't pull it out again, feel free to call me out on it. All right. And I know last time I worked on this, I wasn't sure how I was going to get it all, or like how I wanted to use my fabric economically. Well, I looked up the fully finished video that Kathy put together, or the instructions. Sorry, it's not a video. They're written instructions that Kathy put together. That's a link in the pattern for when you buy it. I went and looked at the instructions and figured out how much margin she recommended that you have. And which was 1 inch. And so I just measured 2 inches away from the other banner and then flipped them upside down so that I could have so it would all just fit on one row. And then I'll just cut them out. I'll just be smart when I cut them out, so that I could use as little fabric as possible, so that I could take the other piece that I had in here out and use it for something else, and then know that I'm potentially going to have an ornament segment available for later. That one is on unnamed Jody fabric from Steel City Stitchers with the called for color and cotton floss. And that is in this Love You More Halloween bag. Okay, I'm gonna have to show everything. Maybe I show everything on this side. Okay, but yeah, this is in a Love You More Studio bag, which I know for a fact the ladies over at Love You More Studio are gonna hopefully start making book sleeves again. And they are really nice for holding projects that don't have a lot of stuff, because they, you can still keep them flat, but also they are very compact and easy to get in and out of bags, which is awesome. Okay, I'm only 13 minutes. Oh, sorry, I just hit the camera. Only 13 minutes in. And I can already feel the frog in my throat. So this will be fun. Okay, so that was episode 8, which needed 3,000 stitching. 3,000 stitches. Let's try that again. Now, episode 9, I needed 3,800 stitches because of how that stitching worked out. If you're new and you don't know what the Great British Baking Show Stitching Challenge is, I realized I didn't explain that. That is a challenge that was set up originally by Jessie over at Jessie Marie Does Stuff. She is the queen of stitching games, and I'm going to talk some more about some stitching games that she has come up with. Okay. So how I have this set up is I have a number of stitches in increments of 100 assigned to each contestant, and that was generated randomly. I didn't know who the contestants were, know anything about them before I assigned the numbers. And then as they accomplish things, so if they get a handshake, or if they get first or last in technical, or if they win Star Baker or they get eliminated, I add up the numbers of stitches associated with the people who won those things, and I stitch all of those things on the project that's assigned to Star Baker. So that's how I'm generating that number. But I wanted to dedicate all of that stitching to one project instead of bouncing around to a bunch of different things like I did last year, because I was really enjoying focusing on one project at a time. So yeah, sorry, I'm getting really washed out from the lights from the windows and from there. So I apologize, but I'm trying to make my face as even as possible. So, all right, moving on. We're just going to deal with the lighting as we have, because this is the time I have to record this video. And I've already waited too long to record it. Or waited longer than I wanted to record it. So for episode 9, I worked on Let's Talk Winter by Hands On Design. As you stick around, you're going to realize that I really like Hands On Design, which you probably learned that from my whip parade from June of last year, June or July. This is what that will look like when it's done. And I am working on the big framed piece here. I definitely do want to go back and do these little circles in the future, but we will get there once these are done. All right. So here's where it was before. Should find my project in here. Oh, I forgot. It's still in the Q-snap because I'm still actively working on it because I'm not done with those stitches yet. So that's why. I was like, what's happening here? Okay. And here's where it is now. Sorry for the fabric tag hanging off here. There we go. All right. So before I had this part up here done, which, I mean, you just saw that, and I had some of these snowflakes done, I've gone in and finished the snowflakes and then did all of this down here. Let's keep that needle on that needle minder. All of that. Such beautiful colors. I love the way that the white pops on this this slate fabric. And it's surprisingly with how, yeah. And of course, because I have this massively bright light over here, there we go. And of course you can see behind it. I'm gonna disturb a sleeping cat to get my board. But yeah, it looks great on this fabric. Really loving the chalkboard effect. And I cannot wait to have these done and hung up in my house where I can switch them around. I'm gonna be so excited. Okay, now I have to put that in a place where she is not gonna lay back down on it. Okay, so this is on 32 count slate linen by Fabrics by Stephanie, and which is called for, and then I'm using the called for DMC. That is in another Love You More Studio book sleeve. I absolutely love this Christmas fabric, and I think I have another project bag that uses this fabric too, but it's super cute and very fun. And these big bags do hold, and they hold an 8x11. And this is the larger book sleeve, just like the Ghosties and Gourds one is in. All right. That is all of the Great British Baking Show stitching. Oh, I just realized I didn't tell you how many stitches I did on that one. I did 1,393 stitches on that since you last saw it over the course of 11 stitching days. And the stitching I did on Ghosties and Gourds, it was over 12 stitching days. I think I'm going to try to incorporate that information because I liked that Marissa over at Kissa Creations did that. And I think that would be fun so you guys can kind of see how long it takes me to get a certain amount of stitches. Because I realize I tell you that number, but that number doesn't necessarily give you a ton of it gives you the number of stitches, but it doesn't necessarily show you how long it took me to get there. And so you don't really get an idea of like my speed or anything like that. Okay. After, or as I was making my plans for 2026, which if you watched my last video, you know I made a whip or a plans video for 2026 and then scrapped it because my plans changed after I'd filmed it. I've heard of the concept of stitching on projects on their birthday. Also, apologies if my camera shakes. My cats may get up and down off the game table, which is where I'm filming at, and it shakes the ring light no matter how hard I try. So I really liked the idea of stitching on a whip on its birthday to make sure that at least once in the year it gets touched. Because I do have some projects, I know of at least one that I did not touch last year, which was not my plan. I had really wanted to touch all of my whips last year. And I even had stitching goals that I came up with halfway through the year for them. But it never worked out for me to touch some of them. And so I was like, well, if I stitch on them on their birthday, I will at least touch them once. So I can know that I've stitched on all of my whips at least once in the year, and none of them went another year without getting any stitching done. Because I do want to finish all of my whips. I want them up. I want them decorating my house. And so I would really like to, yeah, get them all stitched. So, first birthday that we encountered was my Rainbow Temp Galaxy chart, which is from, I started this back in 2022. And this is, oh, I need to pull up my iPad so I can show you the pattern. Right. I've been lulled into a sense of security with all these paper patterns. So, bear with me as I get this pulled up. So, this is what this pattern will look like when it's done. Now, obviously it won't, or I shouldn't say obviously. If you are new here, you may not know this if you've never seen this pattern before. These colors may not lay out the same way as mine, because with the way that this chart is set up, you pick your own, or she gives suggested colors, but you get to decide what your temperature range is. And so I'm using quite a few different colors in it. And then obviously the way that your temperatures line up, or how your highs and lows work out, that's going to distribute the colors differently. But this is a general idea of what it's going to look like when it's done. Now, and yeah, like I said, that is from Climbing Goat Designs. And I will do a before and after with this one. So here's where it was before. Make sure I orient this the right way, because I always screw that up, I feel like. Yes, there we go. And here's where it is now. So, got quite a bit done, and I do feel like that is that right? No. I swear, I was like, oh, yeah, that looks good. And I'm like, nope, that's wrong. This is pretty, yeah, that is pretty true to color. The opalescent, I feel like, no, actually on this one you can see it. I'm glad you guys can really see that, and you can really see it in real life. It's pretty obvious. So what I did with this one, I did 318 stitches total on just that one day. And I basically went in and completed, I think I'd already had part of this started. I went in and finished out this little section here, which that section is all of the temperatures for April of 2022. So slowly but surely getting there. But yeah, you can see that the temps were kind of all over the place, because this is January, I'm pretty sure. No, sorry, this is January. It starts here. Yeah. You have a board for a reason, woman. Use it. There we go. And I even have my Wonder Clips pulled out, but I just don't have them here, or I'm not using them. So yeah, January starts here and circles around this and to March, and then April starts here. There we go. Hopefully that was helpful for orientation purposes. So yeah, like I said, 318 stitches on its birthday, which was the 2nd. And yeah, that was just one day of stitching. This is with the, like I said, the DMC range that I developed based on her recommendations on 28, I'm pretty sure this is 28 count. Where's my little stitching card? No, sorry, 32 count Cosmos Lugana by Bee Stitch Me. And I mean, it's a Galaxy line, but I just felt like this was very appropriate for the design, and it gives it a little bit more interest than just straight black Aida. And I like the opalescent because it kind of gives a little starry feel. Okie doke. And I'm not going to tell you about that project bag because there's no label that I can find. Yep, so I don't know who made it, so we're not going to talk about it. Okay, let's put that whip down. Try not to shake the boat. Next birthday, actually let me get a drink of water first, was my Magic Kingdom Stitch Along, which is also a digital pattern. And this is by Cunning Cross Stitch. Let me see if I do. Haha, I was smart enough to leave this up. Okay, so this is what it'll look like when it's done. Let me just put that in front of my face. There we go. See if I can get it to focus. There we go. Okay. So yeah, in the shape of the Disney castle with different little motifs designed around different Disney movies. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. All right. And here's where it was before. Trying to let my stack of whips fall over. All right, and here's where it is now. Oh, so exciting. Slowly but surely making progress, and I'm very excited about it. All right, let's see. How do I do it where you don't get that blowout on that side? Okay. Let's see if I can get the board out and help myself out here. Discovering I may need to get a second board that's a little bit smaller for some of these projects that don't have as much progress on them. There we go. Okay. So, nope, we're going to go this way. Yes, there we go. We'll blow out my face instead of the project. So on this one, I did all of the stitching in here to finish out Beauty and the Beast. So I think I did color complete on this one because I thought it would be fun. So I had some of this purple in already, and then some of her, like I think her dress was all done, and then some of the Beast. So I went in and filled in all of the background, and then filled in him, and then filled in the rose. And then I did come over and start the top of the next one, which is Princess and the Frog. And I will talk about why I did this here in just a minute. Later in my whips. It'll come up later in my whips. So this is on 32 count Cottage stone by Color and Cotton with all the called for DMC. This product, it's called Magic Kingdom Sal by Cunning Cross Stitch. And I will have all the names of the patterns and everything. And if I can, for him, I'll have his website linked below, because his website is the only place you can get his patterns, unlike some of these other things. I've said this every time I pull this out, but just know that the Cottage stone does not really look like this anymore. Let me see if I can get, that's better for, that's not as blown out there. It's darker than this now. I ordered another piece of this to do something on it because I liked the way that this fabric looked. I don't know. Oh, I'm getting distracted by my own reflection in the window. And it was much darker, and all future dye lots have been much darker. And this is an older piece of Color and Cotton fabric, so I'm not surprised that it doesn't look like this anymore. So just be aware that when I say it's Color and Cotton Cottage stone, you're going to want to find a substitute because it doesn't look like this anymore. Okie doke. That's that one. And I did 500 stitches on that one over the course of 2 days. All right. Next birthday was for the Reindeer by Cottage Garden Threads. This is it's technically the 12th pattern in the first year of A Year in the Woods series, but I'm going to stitch them, all on one piece. Each season I'm stitching on one piece of fabric. And so I wanted it to go December, January, February. And so I have the Reindeer, and then I'm going to do the fox, and then the swans. So that's why I started with 12, in case you're like, what the heck are you doing, lady? So this is what that pattern looks like. Such beautiful use of color. I cannot get over it. And all of the Year in the Woods 2 patterns have been beautiful. So that's what that one looks like. Here's where this one was before. Here's where it is now. So you're going to look at this and go, you didn't really get that much done, lady. And you'd be right. I didn't actually get a ton of extra stitching in. Because I'm clearly still in the antlers. But if you've seen any of my other videos, you will know that I discovered, after I'd already stitched it I discovered this from Jen's Fiberweb, or Jen over at Jen's Fiberweb, that the color I had put in for, again, board. That way I can just grab it like this. There we go. Again, blow out my face, not the fabric. The color I put in here for this lighter color in the antlers, whatever the heck these things are called, I had put in this color. I don't know if you can see that. It's like I haven't filmed a video in a while. Yeah, I might. Okay. I had put in this color. And because that's what was charted up here. That was a mistake. And it clearly doesn't look like that in the model, but I did it because that's what the chart said. And I never think to go and look for corrections. I don't know why, and now I will for anything I start, because it just makes sense. Because things happen, and because we're human and we're not perfect, and so there are going to be mistakes. And I should have known that since the model didn't look the same as this, and they were quite different, it probably wasn't a lighting issue. It was probably an issue with the chart being wrong. And so I went in and frogged all of those stitches and then restitched them. So a lot of the 305 that I did, is that what I said? Yes, a lot of the 305 stitches I did were putting that back in. So I did that, and then I finished out this dark, no, I'm not quite done with the dark brown, but I did come in and do this darker color, which I don't, yeah, it's one of the dark grays. I did come in and put that in so that I could get over here to make counting easier. So that's what I've gotten on that one. This was over the course, or those 305 stitches were over the course of 2 days, and I have this one scanned into Pattern Keeper just so I can mark off my stitches, and I'm now at 4.98%. So I think I've technically finished my stitching goal for this for the year, but I can't, now that I know it's at 4.98%, I can't leave it there. I didn't know that number until I went to go film, because I was like, oh, I should probably look and see. And then I realized, oh yeah, I definitely need to pull that back out to get those next 0.02% to finish that out. And this, I'm using the called for DMC, and then I am substituting in the called for Classic Colorworks. Not Classic Colorworks, it's Gentle Arts. There's usually 1 or 2 fancy flosses that she uses in addition to DMC. And I just don't like stitching with Weeks Dye Works, which I've talked about that in previous videos. And so I am substituting anytime she calls for Weeks Dye Works with something else. And so I'm using Sassy Brass for my Weeks Dye Works instead of Bright Leaf, which is called for. Oh, and I'm actually substituting in Antique Lace too for the Gentle Arts that's called for. I think just because I had it and I didn't see the point in buying another white when I have a bunch of fancy floss that's white. So, and that is on 36 count Gray Magic, I believe. Yes, Gray Magic by Bee Stitch Me. I bought the Bee Stitch Me fabric pack when these patterns came out in 36 count. Okay. Next birthday was for Happy Summer, which is also a digital pattern. My iPad's underneath my notebook. Oh no. And the other one has found the basket, which she loves to get in when I'm filming. All right. So yeah, Happy Summer by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. That is what that one will look like when it is done. Very cute camping and like outdoorsy motifs with a cute little corgi in the middle. This one I only got 190 stitches on its birthday, so I'm not going to show you a before segment. Let me get this situated and I'll show you where it's at now. All right. There we go. All right. So this is where it is now. Pretty sure with this one, what I did is I came in. Yeah, I think I actually just came in and did the green here that's going to be on the tents. And I think I already had the boots completely done. So I'm pretty sure it was just coming in and doing the green on the tents, and that was it. So this one is definitely going to come back out again later to finish up its stitching goal. Such bright, happy, fun colors. So this is on Alchemy by Picture This Plus. And I believe this is a 20, yeah, this is a 28 count. Because that's what it's called for. And I'm going to stitch them all on 28 count so that they fit in the right size hoop. And this one I am doing on more of a gray fabric because the spring one I did on a blue fabric, even though that model was stitched on white. And so I didn't want to have 2 blue projects, so I did this one on more of a gray color. Okay. Oh, and another Love You More book sleeve. I keep forgetting to actually show you project bags, except for this one. Or anything made by Love You More Studio, apparently. Those I can remember to tell you, but everything else I keep forgetting. Okay. 2 more birthdays. So the next birthday was for Easy Peasy, which is also by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. I really should just keep my cover open, shouldn't I? All right, where is this one at? There it is, right next to Happy Summer. Scroll back to the cover page here. This is what this will look like, and this is a part of their Seasonal Sayings series. So I have at least one of these, the Christmas one done, the Don't Get Your Tinsel in a Tangle one done, and then this one, which I'm a little bit nervous. I know I have it, I just don't know where it is. I can't find my finish of Don't Get Your Tinsel in a Tangle. I thought it was with my Christmas decorations, but when I went to go put them out, I couldn't find it, and I can't find it anywhere in my craft room. So I'm sure it's in one of my boxes that I still haven't unpacked from when we moved. So hopefully I find that so I can put it out this year. Okay. And this one, I did do over 300 stitches. So here's where it was before. And here's where it is now. I think that, yeah, that's pretty true to color. I think it's looking a little bit more yellow in this light. There we go. That's a bit better. But yeah, still looking a little bit more yellow than it is in real life. It's a little bit more blue. But on this one, it came in, and I don't know, I was really in a color completing mood. So I was like, I just want to color complete as much as I can. But then also with these patterns, usually that's not easy because you'd have to like count all the way down. So I was color completing, I think, within the motifs. So I went in and finished up the lemonade glasses at the top, and then I put in these little 4 stars. And I really can't show you the stuff over there because the camera's over here. And I brought this border around some more, and I think I brought the scallop border down a little bit too. And yeah, and then I did these stitches here are just they're basically massive Smyrna crosses. You just go over more stitches in order to get the lines for the lemon slice. So slowly but surely making progress on this one. Yeah, this was 366 stitches over the course of 3 days. And this is on 28 count Jobelin in, oh, I forgot, this one doesn't have a name because it was from a Friday night fight night. With all of the called for DMC, and I believe I'm also doing the called for over dies. Let me look. Oh, no, I'm doing the called for Classic Colorworks, which is organza pink, but then I substituted in a one-of-a-kind Forbidden Fiber Co. for the orange, because I believe this one was called for Weeks Dye Works. All right. And this is in a So Much to Love bag. I was in her bag club for a year when she was still doing that. Love these bags. And I loved her club because you could also add on this little notions pouch to your club and get that. Super great. And I have, yeah, I'm discovering I'm more of a fabric only bag person than a vinyl front bag person. I still will use them both, but this is my preference. And her bags are just very nice and sturdy and without being like too stiff. And she uses great fabrics. Last birthday stitch, and that was Snowman of Snowflakes by Bank Creek. Let me pull out the cover photo here. There you go. This is one of the kits where it comes on, or she gives you 18 count linen that you stitch over 2, but you stitch it with pearl cotton. And this kit comes with everything that you need. So it came with the linen and all the pearl cotton that you need, and I believe a needle as well. I can't remember if she's still making these or not. But I believe so. I'm not 100% sure though. This one I did not get over 300 stitches on, so there's not going to be a before and after. So let me get this slid back in there, and then I'll pull the project out. And here is where it is now. Fabric's a little bit more brown in real life. It's not quite so gray toned. Yeah, you're not. I think because of the blues I've stitched with, you're not really getting great color difference. There we go, that's better. The fabric's the wrong color, but the floss differentiation's better. So I came in and finished basically almost this entire top section. There's still a couple holes that I need to fill in, but I filled in all of this top with the white and then these long stitches here. And then I came in and brought the white down a little bit more. And then I did some of these blues, little blue stitches there. And I did 242 stitches on this one for its birthday. Yes, just for its birthday. And yes, this is the one where I still need to email Bent Creek to have them see if they're willing to send me the right pearl cotton color, because they accidentally gave me one of the blues that I got is wrong. They went one lighter instead of one darker. So, but that's all right. I've heard from other people that they're usually very responsive and will send you replacements for things. So I just need to do it. I just haven't done it yet. And that one doesn't have a fancy project bag. Okay. That is all of the WIP birthdays. In February, there won't be nearly as many. I only have one project this year that's going to have a birthday in February. So not nearly as many next month. Okay. Next thing we're going to talk about is the challenge stitching I'm doing with a group of friends that has like a Facebook Messenger chat. I will try my best to explain this. Hopefully it makes sense. So we have modified it this year to kind of switch things up and make it a little bit more adjustable or customizable for whenever you want to incorporate other plans into your stitching. So what's happening is Laura from the Pattern Queens, she is in this group, and Keisha's also in this group. She is drawing a card from a deck of cards, like an actual playing deck. And there we have 3 different categories that we're stitching for. So one is the suit of the card. And so you need to have assigned a project or a group of projects, however you want to do it, to each suit. And the number of stitches that you're going to stitch on for that suit for that week is based on the number on the card, or the face value, what's it called? The face card, whatever stitching number has been assigned to the face card. So aces, I'm doing it where you multiply the number by 10, because usually I can combine that stitching with other categories, which we'll talk about in a minute. And so that way I'm not having to do like a ton of stitches for this. So I'm doing it with times 10. And then for each face card, I think they're assigned, I should have double checked this, because it goes 10, and then I think it's 15, 20, 25. Yeah, that's what it is. So jacks are 15, queens are 20, kings are 25. And I'm just multiplying those numbers by 10 is how I'm doing it. I know there were ways to customize it, but that's how I chose to do it. So that's for the suit section. The other section is Star Stitcher, which you're doing 200 stitches on whatever project is assigned to the person that spun. And last year we only included the people who were stitching in the challenge, but this year we're including everybody who's in the stitching group. So she'll spin a wheel that has everybody's name on it, and then you stitch on the project that's assigned to that person. Lastly, we're doing 100 stitches for each person who had a finish in the group. And so each week we have to tell her if we had a finish or not, and then we stitch on 100 stitches on the project assigned to those people. How I've chosen to do it is I'm incorporating the alphabet into this challenge, because I know that's something that's been going around the FlossTube community since it's 2026, and there are 26 letters in the alphabet, or the English alphabet. So this is my way of incorporating that stitchy theme into my stitching this year. So for clubs, yes, I'm pretty sure it's clubs, but I have my planner here, so why don't I just pull it up so I don't say it wrong, and then I have to fix it when I edit. Yes, so for clubs, I'm doing my whips that are titled A through F. So I have a tiny decisions wheel for each of these categories, but if I'm actively, well, I'll get into that in a second. I'm getting ahead of myself. But yeah, I have a tiny decisions wheel for each of these categories. Diamonds, I have assigned G through L. Hearts is M through R. And then spades is S through Z. And how I decided where to divide it up was just based on the number of whips on each wheel. I tried to make it as even as possible because I have some letters that are much more common as the starting name of a whip versus others. So I tried to balance it out as best as I could. And then I just went in and divided our group into 4 and tried to keep it as even as possible by assigning each person, dividing by 4 and then assigning to a suit. There we go. And so that person is assigned to that range of whips, if that makes sense. And I just divided it by 4 to try to make it as even as possible. Hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. So what I've been doing is, if I didn't have a whip that I was actively working on at the time that fit into those letter categories for whatever was called, I would spin my wheel to decide. And so some of these that you're going to see are from wheel spins. And then what I've been doing is I've been continuing with that project until it has met its yearly stitching goal that I have assigned to it, so that I can really focus on getting those goals accomplished. And then again, I'm not switching back and forth between projects all the time. But then once it's achieved its stitching goal, I'll put it away and spin the wheel again. Unless, of course, I have something else that meets that requirement, or that I want to work on that fits that letter, or that I'm actively working on, if that makes sense. So like, Let's Talk Winter, I've been using that for that stitching challenge because I'm using it for Great British Baking Show and I'm actively working on it. So hopefully that how I'm making my decisions makes sense. And if I keep looking at my face and you see me looking away from the camera, it's because I keep looking at my lighting to see if I need to adjust things. Which, yeah, my face is very washed out right now, but I don't. But yeah, it's because of the window and the lighting coming from the window. So I'm just going to have to make things even. Okie doke. I don't know why I'm putting that on the floor. That doesn't make any sense. Okay. So some of the stitching you've already seen has been used for this challenge. I'm now going to show you the whips that I pulled out specifically for this challenge that weren't a part of anything else I've done. That noise is my cat messing with things on my desk and the top of my stitching calyx. I don't know what, there's stuff up there that she's interested in, so. Okay. First thing I worked on was A Merry Little Christmas. I only did 200 stitches on this in one day, so I'm not going to put up a before and after. I will show you the pattern though. This is by the Stitching with the Housewives. There we go. And this is what that pattern looks like. I really like the different motifs on here, the colors that they picked, and then the font that they used for this is really pretty. I really like that. Okay, don't mind my cuticles. My skin gets really dry in the wintertime. And I have a bad habit of picking them. Okay. I do apologize for the hanging thread. Try to pull that out of the way. But here is where this is now. Yeah, and this linen is super thin, so I am going to pull this up, or put this up here. There we go. Alright, move this over here for a second. No, we just need to get closer. There we go. Okay. So I think all I did was, I think I finished up the white in the box down here. See if I can hold this and talk at the same time. There we go. And then I went in and did the outline and did all the red. Now on the pattern, you'll notice the outline is black. I wasn't I mean, it works, but I was like, it seems kind of not very Christmassy to me, so I wanted to try to make it red and see how I liked that. And I did like it better with the red, so I'm going to do it in red instead. And yeah. And now she's on top of a box. And that's what you're hearing. This is using all of the called for overdyes, which are Classic Colorworks, and then I'm stitching this on 28 count. I think it's Icelandic blue, or it's Touch of Blue. One of the two. I'm pretty sure it's Icelandic blue, but I could be wrong. I don't have the little paper insert that comes with it, because I started this before I was paying attention to that and keeping track of that stuff. And I've probably said this before, but once I'm done with this project, I'm cutting this off and I'm giving this fabric away at a retreat or something, because I am not a fan. I didn't know that when I bought it, that I didn't like butch out linen, because I'd never used it before. But now I know, and I just won't buy it again. So it's just super thin, and like, it doesn't feel very nice when you're holding it. So, and that's in one of the Stitching with the Housewives bags that you can get from the Fat Quarter Shop. Seemed fitting. Oh, and I'm also using my Stitching with the Housewives Yeti. I love this thing. It has a straw on it, which is great. It's a Yeti, so it keeps things cold. And it has a lid, so my cats don't drink out of my water cup. because they love doing that. And so I have started drinking out of that basically entirely, so I don't have to worry about them drinking out of my water cup. Okay, little side tangent there. Next whip is Summer Quaker by Primrose Cottage Stitches, another one of my designers that I like. And they just keep pumping these charts out, these Quaker charts out. Like, I'm pretty sure they just came out with a beach one that I now need to go and buy for I think it's gonna be out at market. So this one I did over 300 stitches, so here's where it was before. Let me find my fabric. And here's where it is now. That's the wrong orientation. Yep, that's wrong. I was like, that doesn't look right. That's because it's not. Okay, I think that is pretty close to the floss color. This is just a plain white linen, 32 count linen. I think it's 32 count. Yes. Let me double check. But that is how far I got. I did 351 stitches on this project over the course of 3 days. And I came in and I did these little motifs down here. And I did this section here. Like, I finished up this, these little butterflies. It took me forever to realize, like, this is a butterfly and this down here is a butterfly. I don't know why it took me so long to figure that out, but it did. I was thinking like this was all one piece, and I was like, oh no, that's not one big bug. That is 2 butterflies facing away from each other. And then that's the other part, because I'm pretty sure the Quaker was already done. If it wasn't, I did finish that up. And then I came and did started coming down on this border here. So I am using Color and Cotton Lemon Tart for this one, because I'm outside of the honeybee one. I'm gonna try to stitch all of these in Color and Cotton instead of the called for colors. A lot of them do call for Color and Cotton, so that's pretty easy. The honeybee one I did end up leaving as the DMC, because I did find some Color and Cottons that worked and that would look really nice, but I've already stitched another one of their honeybee charts in the DMC, and a lot of those same colors are used in the honeybee Quaker, so in order for those to match, I wanted those, and to look nice together, I'm doing the DMC instead. And the DMC is beautiful. I have nothing against, and I'm not using Color and Cotton because I don't like the colors they picked. I just think it would be fun to have them all in Color and Cotton, because Color and Cotton is one of my favorite floss dyers. Okay, and yeah, that's, like I said, that's on 32 count plain white linen in another so much to love bag. Very cute honeybee themed one, because that's the one I started first, was the honeybee Quaker. Okay, last whip. Ooh, knocking over my lights. Goodness. This is what happens when you stack your light right next to your pile of whips. All right, last one that I'm going to show you for the birthdays was, or not birthdays, for the district, or my Facebook Messenger group, was Winter Welcome, or is Winter Welcome, by Park Hopper Bart. This was one that came out in a Black Needle Society Nice List box, I believe in 2021. This one I got quite a bit of stitching on, so here's where it was before. And here is where it is now. Look how much is done! Pardon the hoop marks. So I went in and basically filled in the hat, because I think I had some of the hat. No, I think I either didn't have any of the hat done or I had some of it done. So I finished it off, whatever was already done. If it wasn't done, actually no, there wasn't anything on the hat done. I should have looked at my last video, the last time I looked at this. But no, I'm forgetting different, because there was some separation in the stitching segments that I did this. Yeah, no, I went in and did the whole hat, and then I did all of the pumpkin, all of the snowman, and then I did these little motifs over here. So if I remember correctly, all of the blanc is done. Oh, hello. There we go. I was like, that's better. Like, that got really orange there for a second. So yeah, so all of the blanc on this is done. The black would be done, but I forgot that there's black in the eyes. So I gotta go ahead and do that. And then the rest of it is the Sullivan's that for his nose, his scarf, and his arms. And then this one is done. And honestly, I'm pretty sure, yes, I'm using this one again for this week's challenge stitching. So it'll probably be a finish the next time you see it, because I think with the number of stitches that I have assigned to this project, it might be it'll be very close to a finish when I'm done, I'm pretty sure. And if it's not finished, I'm probably going to finish it anyway. Because one, that'll help with one of the other challenges I'm doing, but two, like, it won't have very many stitches left on it. And with the stitching goal that I have for this one, the number of stitches I would need to get to that goal, I'm pretty sure we just finish the project. So it'll be a finish before the end of the year. Because also that's not one I'm definitely not taking that one into 2027. Absolutely not. So, and this one's actually just in one of the bags that they gave us as to hold one of the gifts for the nice list. I just took the sticker off that had the number on it. Reduce, reuse, recycle, right? So that's what I'm doing. So that one got 775 stitches over the course of 3 days. Okay. The other project I stitched on for that challenge stitching was a gift for a friend. So that one you will see when it's completely done. Okay, moving on. All right. Which that actually leads into the next thing. Sorry, my whip pile started to move, but we're fine. The next challenge that I am participating in, lots of different challenges that you're going to hear about today. And that is the Threadwalker Saga from Sarah over at Wild Fox Stitching. So I am going to do my best to explain this. I'm not going to go into all the little nitty-gritty details. So if this sounds like something you would be interested in, I will link her video below that talks about it. And I will also, if I can, I will link the Facebook group that you'll need to join in order to get access to the files. In order to print them off and use them, or download them and use them. So this is a game that she developed herself with the help of her sons. And this is the first page. And I'll go through each page on here. But basically, the story is you develop a character like you do in Dungeons and Dragons. And which we'll talk about, you'll see more about that in the next page. And then you're going to pick a project to assign to that character. And then as you stitch, you will level up based on the number of stitches you've done. And as you're stitching, you're going to encounter different monsters or other like obstacles, just like you do in Dungeons and Dragons, where you encounter certain things and then you have to roll for in order to get past those obstacles or defeat the monsters. And so she came up with a fun little stitching game to go themed around that. And then you get modifiers, so things that help you do better on your dice rolls as you hit certain accomplishments. So for this project, it's a page finish. Every 3% that you complete for small projects, every 1% for big projects, every 2,500 stitches you do for full crosses, or every 5,000 half crosses that you do. Now, the project that I'm using is my friend's project because I really want to get this project done because it's like her gift for her child being born. There we go. That's how I want to describe that. Because it's not a sampler. And he's already turned 1. So I really need to get this done. So I'm using that project. So I'm going to talk about the game as I make accomplishments, but you're just not going to see the stitching, unfortunately. You'll see it when it's all done. I promise I won't pick a gift stitch the next time. But it's a big project and I really want to get it done. So I'm using this challenge as a way for me to get this done. So that's the first page. And then the second page talks about the different classes. So you've got your Stitch Bard, your Stitch Thief, the Druid, the Warrior, the Ranger, and the Wizard. And there's a description about each character and like what their strengths and weaknesses are. So like, and I'm pretty sure I'm doing the bard for the first one because my plan is once I'm done with this character, I'm going to pick another one and go again. So the Stitch Bard, the description is, they weave songs and stories through thread, charming, inspiring, and impossible to ignore. Their projects are as dramatic as their color palettes. Weakness is that they're easily distracted by new patterns and shiny threads. So you can pick whichever one you want. If you think one of them is more fitting to your personality, you can pick that one. Doesn't matter. You get to decide. And then the next sheet is your character sheet. So I named this first character Esperanza Flora, which I am because she's a bard, and I thought, and this is the piece I'm stitching on is a flower piece, a floral piece. I was like, Esperanza means hope in Spanish, and Flora is flower, so I thought that was fitting. And so my goal for this project is to finish it. So yeah, it has a place for the name, the class, which project, and what your goal is. There's also a section for you to put a picture of your person. I have not bothered to do that. And then you can write a backstory on your character. I'm not going to read it. My handwriting's terrible. If you want to try to read it, go for it. But the more important parts, though, is this level up sheet. So you'll see I've gotten 5 levels. So I've gotten 500 stitches. And so you color in as you stitch. And so this is level 1, level 2, level 3, and you just keep going as you hit those stitch marks. And then the number of stitches to level up increases with each row. So you'll also notice too that there are some boxes that are different colors, and those correspond to different challenges or obstacles that you encounter. So at 300 or level 3, you encounter pretty sure that's the goblin one. Yeah, you encounter a goblin who steals your needle, and then you have to roll a dice. So I am rolling I'm rolling a d6 because when we talk about monsters, you roll 2 dice, and so I'm going to roll 2 d6s because that technically that changes your odds versus rolling 1 d12. If you know the different dice, that makes sense. Like, you can't roll a 1 if you're rolling at 2 d6s for the monsters, but you can if you roll a d12. So yeah, so just to make things simple, I'm just using a d6 and then I will roll 2 d6s for the monsters. Again, I'm not going to go into all the details, but if this sounds interesting, go check out her stuff. So yeah, and so each color corresponds to a different thing. So like the dark ones are meeting a monster, and then if you roll an odd or an even, that changes what you do. So for the monsters on here, if you roll an odd, you actually only you stitch 50 less stitches to level up. If you roll an even, you have to add 200. And then for the orange ones, that's about a new start distracting you. And so yeah, each one has different modifiers to the stitch counts depending on what it is and what you roll. And then these numbers on the side here correspond to monsters on the monster sheet. And so with each level, like at the end of each row, not each level, you'll find a number, and then that corresponds to a monster. And then there are different roll conditions in order to defeat it. So for the first monster, if you roll an 8 or more, you defeat the monster. You're good. You can move on. If you roll a 7, you have to stitch, or less, you have to stitch another 30 stitches and then roll again. And you can't defeat the monster until you roll the number that you need in order to defeat it. And on the back page is a place where you can write down your number of stitches. I've had when I was first starting out, I was a little bit confused on things because it had been a while since I watched the video. I've since rewatched and now I know what I'm doing. But yeah, on the back you can write down either each day that you've stitched, or like the number, once you get to a number of stitches, you know that you get to level up, you get to write down your stitching however you want to. I can guarantee that sheet is probably not going to be enough for me to finish this, but we'll see. I might have to print off another one. So that is Threadwalker Saga, and I thought that would be fun because while I've done D&D once, I would like to get back into, or like to try again, because I will say the first time I did it, I didn't really know what I was doing, and I didn't understand the point of the game, like the point of what we were supposed to do. And so now that I understand it better, I'm like, yeah, I should play it again. But this sounded like a fun way to scratch the nerdy part of my brain and incorporate my game nerddom into my stitching. So, speaking of, that also plays into the next challenge I'm doing, this has been developed by Uplift Stitches, and they have a website, which I will link below, and that website talks about this challenge, as well as I think the website has a link to the video that he did. I will also try to just link the video as well so that you make things easy for you to access. Let me find my sheet here. Oh, there we go. I was like, which app do I need? Let me pull this up. So that way you can see. I'm going to pull up the blank one, and then I'll pull up so I can explain it, and then I'll pull up the copy I made so I can fill it in. Okay. So, because when you download it initially, it's a view only because he obviously doesn't want you editing his original. And so then you need to go and make a copy so you can edit it yourself. So the premise of, or the name of this challenge is RPG Character Challenge, which RPG stands for role-playing game, which is just like what Dungeons and Dragons is, or Pathfinder if you've heard of that one. I've never played Pathfinder. I've never had a session of Pathfinder. I have family members who like playing Pathfinder, so don't get too excited if you're like, oh my gosh, you play Pathfinder. I don't. So the purpose or the premise of this game is, instead of like actually doing the challenge or like playing the game of like D&D, like Threadwalker Saga is doing, this one is actually just challenge stitching to help develop the actual characteristics of your character, which Threadwalker Saga does on that character sheet. So this is, and I'm not incorporating, these are completely separate challenges. I'm not using one to do the other, like they're completely separate. So each month, I'm going to see if I can show this to you without too much glare. There we go. Yeah, so each month you will develop, or the stitching that you do helps to develop a certain character or aspect of your character. So January, which we just did, and I'll talk to you about my stitching for that here in just a minute. All of the stitching I did was put into this chart to help develop determine the race or species of my character. And then next month, or this month, February, all of the stitching that I'm doing is to help develop my class, or determine my class. I should say determine, not develop. And then so on and so forth. Yeah, like March is your starting equipment, and then background and strength. And yeah, you can see them all there. The video does a great job of explaining how this all works. So that's what you're developing. And everybody starts out as a base of human, and then how you stitch determines what you end up being. So he developed categories for different types of stitching that you might do in the month. So the first one is stitch along, and then anything that you're doing for challenge stitching, in-season stitching, out-of-season stitching, any stitching you do on your oldest whip. And those are positive points. Now you'll notice for barely started projects, so things that have 299 stitches or less in them, and new starts, those are actually negative stitching or negative points. So that things go back down. And then for finishes, you get 20 points, and then for FFOing something, you get 40 points. And he did it that way to try to encourage people participating to fully finish things, or to get things done in order to get things like off your whip list. And then, because the whole point of this challenge was to try to just get things completed, like to finish stitching things. And so like when you start something, that kind of goes against that whole getting things off your whip list goal. So that's why they're negatives. So you then go in and put in how many stitches you did on those various things. And then as you fill these in, he's got formulas already built in that will give you your total number of points at the end of the month. So, and as you put the stitch count in, it puts in or the stitch count in, and then the number of projects. Like like the starts and the barely started, those are just like the number of projects you have that fit those categories. And then, yeah, you'll see your points populate down there, and then your total points go down here. And then once you get your total points, you actually go in back over here, and you put in the score that it calculated here in this spot for whatever the corresponding month. And then that will populate your the appropriate category down here. So let me go and show you mine. So with the stitch counts that I did, which I'm not going to read all this off to you, but I will talk about the other stuff. So yeah, so those are my stitch counts. And then I had one new start and one finish because I started and finished the January pillow. I had 2 projects that were barely started, but I was like, I'm not getting negative points for that. So I actually went in and got those projects to above 300. So any new starts that I do, I will make sure that they're above 300 by the end of the month so I don't get negative points. And then, so I put in those numbers here, and then it gave me a total of 385 points. Yes. Okay. Sorry, that might be showing up backwards to you all, and if that's the case, I'm sorry. And then, wrong way. Once you do that, with 385 points, that makes me an elf. So as an elf, that's going to increase my intelligence by 2, which that'll come in later as we do, because August is where we get into intelligence and stuff. And then it also describes me. So like an elf, I'm 3 to 4 feet tall, average weight 40 pounds, I'm small. My speed is 25 feet. I'm most often good. I have dark vision, gnome cunning, and then I speak common and gnomish languages. So there you go. And then at the bottom of the thing, he has a point breakdown for like what like the maximum number of points you would need, like that you can get on something. So for the race species, like their point range went from anywhere to 0 to 1,000. So if you got above 1,000 points, that doesn't, like you've reached the max. There's not going to be any additional levels after that. But he doesn't give you any information about what the different levels are. So like if you're trying to shoot for a specific race, like dwarf or gnome or whatever. Gnome is not, I shouldn't have, wait, hold on. Is that right? Yeah, dwarf or, those are both ones. Like you don't know how many points those are, so you can't really necessarily shoot for a certain thing. So with this challenge, what I'm doing is I'm not necessarily altering my stitching in any way to accommodate that challenge outside of I want to make sure that any start that I get has at least 300 stitches in it. And I am going to try to FFO things. I meant to try to FFO something this month in order to get those points, but I didn't have time. So I'm going to try to FFO things if I can, but I'm not going to like change up my stitching to like work on more sals or work on more in-season stitching. Like I'm not going to adjust that at all in order to do stuff, in order to make that work. And then I did, and I will say I forgot to double check this in the video, so if I'm doing this wrong, feel free to call me out on it. For anybody who's doing this challenge, or Uplift Stitches, if you're watching this, feel free to call me out on it. I am fairly certain I double counted. So yes, I definitely did. Now that I'm looking at those numbers. Yeah, there's no way I didn't. So if something was a challenge stitch and also in season, I counted it for both. Because it fits both. So to me, that made sense. Like, I should get credit for both of those things. Because also, like, there's going to be so much overlap. Like, if you don't, you're not going to be able to get any points if you don't overlap those things. So I double counted. But if that's wrong, feel free to let me know. Okay. As a result, I actually pulled out 2 starts that I had last year that I did not stitch enough to have them not count as barely started. I didn't put over 300 stitches in either one of these projects, so you're not going to get a before and after segment. So, and one of these was very pitiful. Like, I didn't do that much stitching on it. But the first one was Patriotic Barns by Waxing Moon Designs. I started this last summer as a part of like Patriotic summer stitching. So no, these are not going to be done by the 250th. When you see it, you'll understand. And I don't really, skipping ahead to plans a little bit, I don't have any plans to stitch anything for the 250th. I will probably make July more a patriotic month instead of Christmas in July, but I'm not gonna do anything special. Yes, it's a major milestone, but if I'm being completely honest, I'm not necessarily feeling very patriotic right now with the state of things. So let me get this all situated. There we go. So this is where I got to on the, oh, I thought I had folded that over far enough. Apparently not. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay. So this is where I got to on this one. The last time you saw it, I think I know I had like Liber. It was Liber, and that was it. So I finished out Liberty, and then I came in and started the green in this tree. And so this tree is completely, this green in this tree is completely done. And I'm doing them in order. So Liberty, and then Freedom, and then the other barn. So that's what I did. So yeah, now this one is above the 300 mark. I did 184 stitches in one day in order to get to this point. This is on a 28 count unnamed tan linen from Be Stitch Me. Let me see if I can get the lighting to get you, because it's that, since I have this light on over here, it's blowing it out a little bit. That's pretty good. That might be a little bit darker than it actually is in real life, but that's the right tone. It is a bit of a warmer brown. It might be, I think it's showing up a little bit darker too than in real life, but it's a gorgeous color. And I am using the called for DMC and, or actually, I lied. I don't think there's any DMC in this one. No, there's no DMC. I'm using the called for Classic Colorworks, and then there are a few Weeks Dye Works that are in here that I am substituting. Like I know I'm pretty confident that yes, like this, the red is called for, but this green here that I'm using, it's called for Blue Spruce in Weeks Dye Works, and so I'm using Desert Mesquite by Classic Colorworks because, again, I just don't like stitching with the Weeks Dye Works. Just don't like the way that, with the way that I stitch, it just doesn't, it's not as conducive. It just knots on me all the time. So I think the only Weeks Dye Works that I'm using, because I'm looking at this now, yeah, the only one I'm using is Whitewash because I had it in stash from a different project that I bought the kit for, that I've since finished. I just didn't know that at the time. I didn't like really working with Weeks Dye Works. So I do have some Weeks Dye Works in my stash that I'm going to try to use if it's called for, if I have enough for it to make sense. Because I also don't necessarily want to buy more in order to, I can add it to my stash kind of thing, if that makes sense. And yeah, I don't know who made this project bag, so I can't show it to you. Okay. And the last one I worked on for the character, that's over here. The character challenge was my HP tribute project by Are Orinika, is how you say her name. Let me pull that up on Pattern Keeper real fast. If I can. There we go. Did I say that right? I'm pretty sure I did. Yeah. Orinika, yeah. So that's what it'll look like when it's done. Don't have very much done on this one, so don't get excited. But I started this during Frogwarts last year in order to meet a challenge, and I know you don't technically have to do that. Like, you can do penalty stitching, but I thought it was cute, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it anyway. And this one, I only did 51 stitches on one day to get it above the 300 mark, so I'm not going to show you a before and after. But this is where it is now. That is definitely showing up a bit darker than in real life. Actually, it's not too bad. I think the modeling is definitely getting blown out a little bit. But I basically came in and was motif completing. So I think I just came in and, yeah, I did the lighter yellow in this motif and then this guy down here. And that was it. And then, yeah, and that's at 51 stitches now. Or not 51. Good grief. I did 51 stitches on it. Jeepers creepers. So this is on 32 count vellum by Picture This Plus. It's the same fabric that I have Frogwarts Year 1 on. So, and there is quite a bit of backstitch in this one, so if you're worried about any of those things ghosting on there, they won't when I'm done. There, a lot of, like, headwig is outlined with backstitch. So I'm probably not going to do the backstitch until, well, I probably should backstitch out now that I'm thinking out loud. Sorry, I have struggling to fold this fabric back correctly. There we go. I will probably backstitch as I go, now that I think about it, because trying to leave all that for the end is not going to be fun. So yeah, I'll just backstitch them as I complete the motif. Okay, that is all of the stitching. So I'm actually going to go ahead and do plans now. And then that way, if you don't want to hear about haul or what I call stash acquisition or life updates, you don't have to listen to that part. So yeah, I'm going to do plans now. So that way, if you depart after this, it was lovely having you here. And thank you so much for watching. So my plans for February, which you did see a bit of February stitching already, just because I had some of the progress I had made on these projects was in February. So I wanted to include it so that, because you were already going to see it. But I do plan to start and finish the February monthly mini pillow. I just haven't done it yet because I had kind of forgotten about it at the beginning of the month. And then I'm working on some other plans right now. So as soon as those plans are done, I'll do the pillow, which we'll talk about those in just a minute. I am going to keep going with Great British Baking stitching. So I'll finish up the stitching I have for Let's Talk Winter, which I'm about a little less than halfway done with that. And then I will watch the finale and then do that stitching, which who knows how long that's going to take me. And then my Facebook Messenger group, I'm going to continue doing that. And again, I'm just going to, the other things that I'm doing, I'm going to work that into that challenge. I'm going to modify that one and adjust it as I need to fit everything else. Because that's the easiest way to do that. I am going to continue with the WIP birthdays so that I can touch all of my projects within the year. Next month, you're not going to have nearly as many because I only have one project that has a birthday in February. So that'll cut down on the number of WIPs in the video for sure. And I'm going to keep going with Threadwalker Saga. So again, a secret stitching, so you won't see the project, but you'll hear about it. And the shenanigans I get into with that challenge. And then I'm going to keep going with the RPG challenge, so you'll get an update at the end of the month with what my class is. The other thing two other things that I'm going to do potentially this month, or that you will at least see in future videos. One of them is Stitch the Winter Olympics, which I know the opening ceremonies were last night, so that's already started, but again, I'll talk about it in the next video so I can talk about it all at once. This is developed by Katie from the Naptime Stitcher. She's done this for all of the Olympics, I think, since 2020. Don't quote me on that. I didn't look it up before getting on here. But she does a whole thing. Like, she's got things posted on Instagram each day that you can use as your cover photo for your post and to let you know what the theme is. She's also developed like a bunch of different files in order to, or I should say a bunch of different things within the same file for you to organize your stitching. So I can show you what that looks like. I won't get it too up close and personal because I don't want you to see all the things I have filled in on there. I want to keep it a little bit of a surprise, but also like you'll see it on Instagram. This is like the one time of year that I'm really good about posting my stitching because I really like the cover photos that she makes. So I do actually attempt to post my stitching on there. So actually I bet I can just scroll. So yeah, so there's a list that you can use to write down your projects with the different themes on there and what they're themed after. And then there's a calendar that you can use to look at if you want to, if this view is helpful for you to scroll over there. There we go. To see kind of it laid out in more month calendar form. And like each day is themed after things that are happening. So like first day was opening ceremonies, and then today's is the Parade of Nations. So you're supposed to stitch on something patriotic for the country of your choice. And then she also makes little project cards if you want to use those that are Olympics themed. And then there's also a word search that you can do if you want. I have not done it yet. And then she's also included two blanks. Oh, let's not open my messages app. Y'all don't need to see that. 2 blank notes pages for you to use to write down any notes that you want to write down that that don't fit on any of the other stuff. Oh, and I forgot, she does also have some information about the Olympics and how to post about it on social media. So, and I believe all of that it's on her Instagram page. So I will attempt to link that below for you. So there's that. So you'll hear about that next month. And, which, yeah, I have a few new starts with that. So I'm going to have to really get those up to 300 stitches so I don't get negative points on my RPG challenge stitching or character challenge stitching. Last thing that I'm considering adding in this year, which is, I'm not going to start this until after Great British Baking Show stitching is done, because it will kind of take its place. And this one's going to be, and this is kind of how the person who developed it, which I'll get into in a minute, you probably, once you hear the name, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, or who I'm talking about. That person is using this as kind of a set number of days in their rotation, and then they're moving on to other plans. I will probably do it as like my main stitching after I've done all of my like Facebook Messenger group stitching and anything else I'm doing. So like in March, I know I'm going to do the March Madness like whip bracket thing. So if I manage to finish Great British Baking Show before March or before that starts, I will use this next set as kind of what I'm doing after that challenge is over kind of thing, if that makes sense. The challenge I'm talking about is Milestone Manor, which was developed by Jessie over at Jessie Marie Does Stuff. This is basically like taking Gloomhaven and, it's basically like taking Gloomhaven and making it into a cross-stitch game. I kind of think of it as Gloomhaven mixed with Betrayal and House on the Hill. If you're familiar with either of those board games. So what you do, and again, she's got a video that explains it. I'll link that down below. I will get into it in more detail once I actually start doing it. But in case you're interested and you haven't heard about it yet, I want to go ahead and talk about it. So basically, what she's done is she's drawn up a floor plan of her house. And then she's assigned a whip. And she's doing full coverage whips. I don't do full coverage, so I'm modifying mine slightly. I'm going to modify it. I haven't really sat down and ironed out all those details yet. But you assign a project to each room in your house. And this includes, if you choose to, it includes hallways. And she actually did it kind of in a really fun way where she made little cards that had the name of her whip and a photo of it on the back. And then she gave them to her husband, who put them in envelopes for each room so that she has no idea where these things are. So, and again, I will talk about how I'm going to set it up in a future video. But basically, you go into a room and you roll dice, and she uses 3 different dice. She talks about it in her video, and that determines the number of stitches that she has to do on that project in order to meet that challenge for that room. I feel like that's not a great way to explain it. It's the number of stitches she has to do. Let's just leave it at that. And then once you've completed your stitching, you figure out how many milestones you met, if any. You get to decide what your milestones are. She's doing some that are very specific, that are fairly specific to full coverage. So I'm going to modify a few of them. Some of them are universal, but some of them are more specific to full coverage. And if you meet milestones, then that counts towards helping you level up. If you don't meet a milestone, then you take damage, just like you do in Gloomhaven, like if a monster attacks you. And then, if you meet a milestone, then the monster also takes damage. And you have to you have to determine, I feel like I'm gonna explain this next part wrong. Oh no, I'm thinking of the next thing, sorry. And then, yeah, that monster gets defeated, and you and then you leave the room, and you go on to the next thing. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's what it is. Again, watch her video. I'm gonna need to watch a refresher video in order to make sure that I know how all this works. And read through all of her files, because she also made files for this game. I'll make sure to read through all of that again to make sure I'm doing it right. But, so yeah, so you leave the room and then you move on to the next thing. So like if you walk down your hallway and go into your bedroom, once you are done in the bedroom and you go back into the hallway, if you have a project assigned to the hallway, then you do the thing for the project in the hallway. So yeah, so a really fun way to, and then like hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself. As you meet milestones, you level up you have to hit so many milestones to level up your character, just like you do in Gloomhaven. Like you have to get so many points for your character before you can level up. And then as you level up, you get access to more rooms in your house. So initially, pretty sure you start out with 6 rooms that you have access to. And then when you level up, you get access to, I believe it's 8, or like it's determined by, there's a formula for how you determine that. Again, watch the video if you're interested. And I will watch it again once I get to that point. And she's got a whole flow sheet too that she developed. Like the amount of work she put into this challenge was amazing. Same thing with Threadwalker Saga and the RPG character challenge. Like the amount of effort that these individuals put into this is amazing. And I'm so thankful for them that they were willing to do that. So yeah, I again have not really looked, like I haven't developed that yet because I'm still doing Great British Baking Show, which who knows, if I don't get Great British Baking Show done before the next season, then I won't do it. But I'm pretty sure I will. But, words are failing me. What was I gonna say? Sorry, I just got distracted by a text message that I just got. So my brain will kick back in here in just a minute. Yeah, so fun way to incorporate board game nerddom into cross-stitching, which I'm very much here for and very excited about. And I've been wondering if there was like a way to incorporate board games in cross-stitch, and so this is like right up my alley. So I just have to figure out how I want to, like what my milestones are going to be since I don't do full coverage. And yeah, figuring out what I'm going to put where. So very excited to get started on that when I get to it. Okay, that's all the plans. So now we will go into stash acquisition. So again, if this is where you leave me, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you spending the past, I know it's going to be like at least hour with me. And if you liked the video, I hope that you like and subscribe. And so that way you can turn on that notification bell so you can get updates about when I post. Again, I'm going to try to do this once a month. I know I didn't technically get a video out in January. And I'm going to start recording them at the end of the month so I can update you on my RPG character challenge. But yeah, we'll just kind of have to take things as they come. So, and I know like in March, I'm going to be going on a couple of different trips. So that could throw off filming. Sorry, FlossTube itchy nose. But yeah, so hopefully I'll see you in a month. But yeah, turn on that notification bell so that you know when I come back. And I'll see you guys later. Okay, if you're sticking around for stash acquisition, I have a whole basket of things. And I'm just going to pull things out of the basket and talk about them as I pull them out. So I don't have this in any order of how I purchase things. Okay, so I think, yes. So this first thing, not everything in this bag was acquired at once. The floss is what was acquired. So I'm trying to decide, yeah, I think that's, because of the way I put this in here, I think that's going to be the easiest so it doesn't get mixed up. So I decided that this year, I don't know exactly, I think what I'm going to do is on the first day of spring, I'm going to start this, but we'll see. Because that's when I have the most floss for. And so I think that's why I'm going to start with spring. Again, I will iron this out a little bit more as we get closer. I have really enjoyed, like I've had these drawn thread welcome patterns in my stash for a long time. And I have really wanted to start them. And I just never got around to kitting them up. And yeah, and getting all the things that I needed. So what I did for Christmas, because these call for quite a few different Dinky Dyes floss, and Dinky Dyes is silk, so it's not super cheap. Now, there is quite a bit of overlap, but obviously, like, spring's gonna have some different colors than Halloween and Christmas, so they don't 100% overlap. So I asked for the Dinky Dyes silk for Christmas, and I just gave my mom and my sister a list. I didn't tell them which ones were for which projects, because I didn't want them to feel pigeonholed, and then if they couldn't find a floss for that project, and then, like, yeah, I just didn't want them to feel pressured to get certain colors. And plus, not every color is in stock at the same time. So what I did was, yeah, I just gave them a list, and then my sister was actually the one that, and my brother-in-law, sorry, were the ones that got me the Dinky Dyes floss. So I got quite a few of the colors that I need for spring, which a lot of these do fill into other patterns. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. But this one I definitely have the most of these, so I think I'm going to start with spring on the first day of spring. And then I also got a few for summer. And yeah, a couple for autumn. And a few more for Halloween that you need. Which, yeah, you might be surprised at those colors, but it's for, like, the candy corn and the greenery at the top. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and, like, the greenery and the pumpkin and stuff. And then a couple for winter. And then one for Christmas. And again, like I said, there's going to be some overlap with the other patterns, but those were the unique ones for those projects that I got. Let me put those back in their bag. So thanks, Colin and Jess, for that. So those will get started at some point this year. And I'm going to try, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and, whoa, hitting my light because maybe I should move my basket so that I'm not reaching behind the light every time. That might make this a bit easier. Okay, I was like, what happened here? Because I think since I hit it, it messed up my lighting. Whatever. I'm also getting super blown out because of the way the sun is coming in the window. Okay, so maybe I either need to film earlier or later. One of the two. Okay, moving on. So, and actually this works out nicely because this is related. So what I decided to do for those is they're called to be on like 30 count lamb's wool, I believe. And I don't have any of that. And I have a ton of 32 count. So I decided to do it on Shrekie's Tan by Needle Bling. But I have a fat quarter, which isn't technically enough for all of them. So I ended up buying another fat eighth from Hollis Hands Creates because she had it. And that's pretty true to color. Might be a little dark, but it's pretty true. And I also bought it from her because she has many Donna linen, and I have heard great things about it, so I wanted to buy some to give it a try for a project in the future. And this is 40 count Frog Gray. And I think the modeling is showing up a little bit more aggressively than, actually, if I hold it where it doesn't get blown out, that's not bad. There we go, that's better. These the gray patches over here are a little bit darker, but it's definitely a nice blend of like brown and gray. Let me see if I open it up a little bit more. Like, and there's another spot here that's like got this fun splotch of gray there. So, very fun color that I definitely don't have anything like it. And yeah, it does feel quite soft. So I'm excited to try it out and see how that goes. Go ahead and throw that other piece, the Shrekie's Tan, in with the other bag. And then when you order from her, she sends you one of her project cards that has her information, like her logo on the back, but it has like chart name and like things for you to fill out. So I'm gonna definitely file that away to use in the future. Okay, this next one is also a Christmas present from my grandparents on my dad's side. So one, I got a Michael's gift card to go spend on all the crafty things I could ever want. So I'm go put that away. And then they live in St. Louis. And so I asked for a list of color and cotton flosses that I don't have because that's where Color and Cotton is, and I really like their floss, and so I'm just trying to acquire as many colors of theirs as I can, mainly from the active list, because they do a lot of like special dyes and limited editions, and I know there's some that I don't have that I'm never going to be able to get, and so I'm not going to bother trying to find them. So I'm not going to go through and read all the colors, but these are the colors I asked for, and I asked for the colors, yeah, my cat messed up my board, in the, well, some of them were colors that, for like their themed packs that they were doing, like the Capri Summer and the Walking Trail and all that stuff. There was, I think it was Capri Summer that was, I think there was a one color that was always out of stock. So it was the pack was never in stock. And so that was like the one I was missing. And so I went through and like just pulled up the list of floss that were going to be in that pack and realized buttermilk, I think, was the only one in that pack that I didn't have. So I had them get me buttermilk. And then I asked for all of the flosses that I didn't have in the music collection that they did and the crafting collection. So like this first one is acapella. I think this one here, and this is bluegrass. I'm pretty confident I have bluegrass, but I just like this color, so I asked for another one. And then, it's not with my master set, meaning, or with the rest of my Color and Cotton, meaning it's in with a product somewhere. And then these down here are the stitching ones, which I think this one's quilting block, or just quilt block. Quilt block, yeah, this variegated purple is quilt block, and then this one is stained glass, and yeah, she got me two, I don't know why, but she did. So yeah, and then I think one of these I asked for, yeah, like tulle. I already have a couple skeins of tulle, but the tulle I have is not this color. I think it was a previously dyed color that they don't dye anymore, and then they just use that name again for this color. So I was like, I want that one because it's different. So, oh yeah, so I got this for Christmas as well. And I'm gonna go put that away, obviously. All right, next is the next pattern in the A Year in the Woods Part 2 series, which is the Bobcat. Look at that. Oh, such great colors. I love the shading. I mean, it's stark, but it's beautiful. I like those colors are perfect for a Bobcat. So good. And then the overdyed for this one is Classic Color Works Peanut Brittle, which I already had, but it's in with my pattern already. So, and the rest of the colors on there are DMC. But I don't have any plans to start these until I'm done with the Year in the Woods Part 1, which who knows when that'll be. So, it's going to be a while before these come back out. So I'll put the DMC in there when I get there. Okay. Next in here is my Atomic Ranch fabric that I'm getting as a part of the Sweet Wing Studio and Heartland Quilting and Stitching collaboration, or like monthly releases, let's put it that way. So this is just like what she did with the Wordy Birds patterns last year. She has a new set of patterns that are like encouraging sayings. So I will pull up the one that's associated with this. I think it's on here. Is that where I have? Nope. There it is. So for January, it's a pattern called Small Steps Every Day, the Bright Side Series #1. That's what it's called. And so this pattern, she actually designed 2 different patterns and liked them both, and so she included both. So this is an actual stitched model, but then there's a digital rendering of the other one. I haven't decided which one I'm going to stitch yet, because there's another series of hers that I want to do first. So I might not stitch these in the order that I get them, like, because there might be ones that I like more than the others, and so I'm gonna wait, see which ones I want to prioritize, and then stitch them in the order that I want them in my house. And so that way the ones that I want more are in my house first. So I am getting a PDF pattern so that I can put it in Pattern Keeper, and then I am getting the fabric from Atomic Ranch, because I do like Atomic Ranch fabric, and and since I didn't know what the colors were going to look like, I was like, I'm just going to get the fabric. And with the floss, I will kit that up from Stash, because she will typically use Classic Colorworks, DMC, Weekstyle Works, Gentle Arts, like the big 3. And so I have a full set of Classic Colorworks, And then if she uses a week's dye works, I will substitute that from stash. So I was like, I don't need to get more floss, but I will get the fabric because I like Atomic Ranch. So this is 32 count Atomic Ranch in lavender. And they send you you pay an invoice every month for the series, which includes the cost of it, and they charge like, and you pay for whatever you decided to order, because you could have ordered it, I think it's pattern only, PDF pattern only, like pattern with fabric, or like a full kit. And so this is the color. Yeah, the modeling is definitely showing up as more stark than it is in real life, but that is pretty true to color. It might be showing it up as a little bit more blue, especially because the lighting keeps changing with that light being over there. It's a little, yeah, it's a little bit more purple than what it's showing up on camera. Let's see if I can, maybe I need to get closer. I don't really know how to adjust, but it is definitely a little bit more purple than what you're seeing on camera, but it's beautiful. And the modeling is fantastic. It's not quite as stark as it's showing up in camera. So excited to start those once I get them all. I shouldn't put that back in there because this is not how I'm going to store it. Okay. I want to talk about that. I was just going to pull things out, but I'm talking about that later. Oh! And I forgot. I haven't shown you number 7 in A Year in the Woods, and it ended up on the bottom. So the one before the Bobcat is the Northern Cardinal, which looks like this. Such beautiful reds, which those are Bing Cherry and Ladybug, and then I think there's a couple DMC in there as well. But so pretty, and I love the little Quaker motif in the middle. Gorgeous. And we have cardinals around here, so excited to have this. To have that hanging up. And my husband loves red, so that'll be nice. And I did end up ordering Bing Cherry from, is that right? Yes, I ordered Bing Cherry and I haven't pulled the Ladybug yet. I guess I should do that. Because I didn't have any Bing Cherry and I just ordered 2 skeins in case I needed 2, because I was like, I don't know. I think Abby said you might need 1 or 2, depending on what count you're stitching on, and so I was like, I'll just buy 2, because if I don't use it, I'll put it in my stash, because it's pretty red. So yeah, so this is number 7, and then Bobcat was number 8. Okay, couple more things here. The other stitching related Christmas present that I got was from my parents, and that is the Mary Stitchmas Emma Congdon book. I think I own every other pattern or every other book of hers except the cat one. That's the only one I don't have. And I won't do a flip through. I know there's lots of flip throughs here on YouTube. I'm pretty sure Carolyn Zook did one, or Helen D did one of the two. They're your go-to ladies for a flip through. So definitely go check them out. But I will show you this part here, which shows you right inside. She always has a table of contents that has, and these aren't actually have names, which shows you all of the patterns included. And these are mock-ups, they're not the actual pattern, so there's no danger there. I think the one that I am for sure going to stitch at some point is my favorite. There's one that says my favorite color is Christmas lights. I'll see if I can. Okay, I'll just have to go to the pattern name. Which one is that? Number 2. Yeah. There we go. So fun. And I'm pretty sure this is, yeah, this is British stitching. I think, is there one in? And she did put in a pattern for American spelling of color, if you don't want to put the U in. So she has both for anybody. He doesn't want that. There's also some fun stuff in here, like the letters that are in here are meant to be stitched as like a name, like a gift tag for individuals. So you could like reuse gift tags if you wanted, or just like gift it to them and then they can have as a part of their gift. And then there's some other gift tags that she made. There's some of these like stitchy, like the folk designed things that you could either stitch all together or finish them as ornaments. I think she had planned that you stitch them as ornaments. They're just laid out flat like that. Let me see. Oh, she stitched them as individual hoops, but you could totally finish those as an ornament if you wanted to as well. So very cute. Lots of cute patterns in here. So I'm very excited about this. incorporating some, oh yeah, like there's some on the back that she definitely stitched as ornaments. There's like a small little pillow. Yeah, here's the gift tag thing I was talking about. Some that were designed as gift tags, and there's also letters in there too if you wanted to use the letters. So yeah, very cute. Very excited about that. And then this last physical thing that I'm going to show you, you're going to see it and go, Jordan, that came out months ago. Why do you just now have it? But I will show you what triggered the purchase. Because I saw this cover, or this, yeah, the cover on Instagram and nearly lost my mind. So let me go. I meant to pull this up beforehand and forgot. So bear with me if you're still seeing this. Otherwise, it's probably going to get edited out. Okay. Yeah, this is all going to get edited out. I'm spelling this wrong. Okay, here we go. So, I saw this cover and was like, immediately add to cart. Like, must have. Right now. I'm going to try to make this picture bigger. But this is being hecka slow. Alright, we won't do it from that website. Maybe... Oh, you can't just pull that up. Are you going to focus? You're not going to focus. I'm going to pull up Instagram. I don't want to. Okay, I think that's as good as it's going to get. Alright, so yeah, I saw this on Instagram, which is what I have pulled up, but it's on my tablet because I'm recording on my phone. But I saw that, and immediately was like, I must have this. So this is Max Pigeon, good grief, of Pigeon Coop Designs. This is his new book that's coming out in September. And I was like, seriously, September? But it's fine. It'll be like a birthday present to myself. So I saw this and was like, yes, I must have it because orcas are my favorite animal. And I just thought the design on that was beautiful. And so I immediately went to thriftbooks.com and pre-ordered it. And while I was there, I ordered his other book, Cross Stitch in the Forest, which I know it's been out for a while. But I initially just was using my money for other things and didn't pull the trigger on it. I think that there are lots of designs in here that are absolutely beautiful. So I just, yeah, hadn't pulled the trigger on it yet. I will show you a couple of the things that I'm like, that is beautiful and I would love to stitch it. And the funny thing is like a few of these things, I don't really know why I'm so drawn to them necessarily, because they're not necessarily things that like I am particular, like that I have an affinity to. They're just, the design on it is so pretty. Like this Winter Walk bear. I love blue. And then I've also seen, I saw a grizzly on my honeymoon, and just the design of that bear is just beautiful. And so that one I really love. And then, okay, good. You can't see me flipping. Where was... There was, oh, I want to pull up the big pictures because they're a little bit easier to see. I've seen somebody else stitching these. I think it was Kevin of Akio Whip. Like these passing time seasons, the colors on those are beautiful. And that would be a fun like seasonal thing to switch out when the seasons change. Those are really pretty. This one is my favorite. Again, I don't necessarily have an affinity for blue jays, but the design on this is gorgeous. Like, absolutely gorgeous. Like, he nailed the blue jay. Like, it's so pretty. And I think I'm also, like, coming to love blue jays more and more because I follow a person on Instagram who has bird feeders that she puts out, and her bird feeders are frequented by blue jays, and those things are mean and territorial, but they're beautiful. So, and this pattern is gorgeous. So I'll definitely probably be starting that one. What was there was another one in here that I really liked too. That I thought, oh yes, the heron. Again, beautiful design. Some confetti stitching, but it's fine. Like the colors and just the details in the feathers to give it more interest is beautiful. I think those were the big ones, but there's also some bugs in here. Like there's the duck pond, which is cute. But I think those were the big ones that I wanted to stitch for sure. Oh, and this like spruce trio is cute. Just a small little tree. And that one is probably small enough. You could do that as a small for like a smalls exchange. So yeah, just beautiful, beautiful projects in here. If you like nature, definitely look into buying this book and pre-ordering the ocean one. I think he's also put out some other posts that I need to go look at for the ocean one to get like sneak peeks that I haven't seen yet. So very, very excited about that. Okay. I actually already showed you that because I showed you I'm looking at my notes here. Oh yes. The other thing that I purchased, the Stitching with the Housewives was having a sale around Christmas time. And I knew that they had come out with a coffee series that I wanted to buy. So I was like, well, now's the time. And I think I should have verified where these were. I might just have to go on. Where are my folders? Oh, okay. Nope. Never mind. Sorry, friends. There we go. I was like, why can I not find what I'm looking for? My thing was organized weird. Oh, okay. I don't think I've actually... Yeah, I haven't downloaded these yet. Okay, so I'm gonna have to show them to you on Etsy. Oh, I wonder if I can just pull up my email. That'll probably be easier, actually. Let's not get flagged. Okay. And I'll go and download these now. There we go. Yep. Okay. So I'm just going to show you on my email, because I haven't actually downloaded these yet, like I thought. So I went and purchased a few of the things that I didn't have. So the top one is one of the coffee ones. It says Rise and Shine Coffee Time. But then they also had these ornaments that I hadn't seen. I just somehow missed them when they got released. So one of them is Hark the Herald Angels Sing, O Come All Ye Faithful, and then And Heaven and Nature Sing. Which I somehow totally missed that they put those out. So I bought those. And then I also bought the farm ones that I don't have, because I want to stitch all of the ones that they have that have trucks on them that look like that, and then that are oriented horizontally, because I'm going to stitch them and then switch them out on the same piece. And then yeah, these are the other coffee ones, and then the other truck I didn't have. So I bought those, and those will get downloaded and uploaded into Pattern Keeper. Actually, no. Those might not get uploaded into Pattern Keeper because I don't think they're Pattern Keeper compatible since they're in color. But you know what I mean. So yeah, but those will get downloaded and loaded into whatever device I need to load them into. And then the last thing I purchased since the last time you saw me was my stitching sweatshirt. And this is from Stitching Goddess Designs, Athena. She put this out and I was like, yes, must have. Because it's got all the different like sewing and quilting, but also stitching things. And so it's like, how do I tell you I'm a stitcher without actually telling you I'm a stitcher? The sweatshirt. And I loved this blue. So I had to have it. Now if you've never bought from her before, you get to customize like what color. You can put this on a t-shirt. You can put it on a sweatshirt. I'm a big fan of crew neck sweatshirts right now. I don't know why, but I do. I just love me a crew neck sweatshirt. And so And I really only had one other stitching sweatshirt. That was a winter one, so this one is definitely more universal. And I can definitely take it with me on retreat and stuff. So, but you can get whatever color vinyl, and t-shirt, sweatshirt, hoodie. She's got lots of options. Some things are more expensive than others. Like if you get a really fancy like glittery vinyl, that'll add more to the cost or whatever. But yeah, she does a great job. I have lots of her shirts. I have these 2 sweatshirts, and yeah, I think lots of t-shirts. So, and they've held up quite well. So great quality. Definitely go check her out. I'll have her linked below as well for you to go check out her site. Okay. That's all the stitchy stuff. So next is life updates. I'll try to keep this short and sweet because this video on my time is already over 2 hours. But basically, we finished out Christmas. So my poor family in St. Louis tends to be the last ones that we go see just because of everything being crazy around the holidays. And it's my grandparents, like, just by themselves. There's no additional, like, family that we have to work around. So it works out easier to just usually see them in January. So we did that, which was a lot of fun. It was always good to see them. And then went back into regular life. We did, Kansas City had restaurant week in the beginning of January. So Joshua and I went to Stroud's, which is apparently it's a very well-known Kansas City restaurant, and it's been here since like the 30s. But I had never been before, and he hadn't either. And he's lived in Kansas City his whole life. So we went, and it was great because their restaurant week menu is for 2 people. So like you just order as a couple and it's one price instead of each individually ordering your own restaurant week meal. So that was fun. And then we went to one other place. Oh, we went to a Thai place in Prairie Village called Penny's in the Village, which was really good. It was very delicious. It's definitely a little bit on the pricier side, but that's part of the joy of restaurant week, is that you get to go to places that you may not necessarily otherwise be able to go to because you can get more food at like cheaper than what it is on the menu. And so it was delicious food. So that was fun. We've also gone to a Mavericks game, which is the minor league hockey team here. And we do that. My dad likes to buy tickets for the first responders weekend or game and the military appreciation game. So we go, I think the last one was first responders night. And so that was a lot of fun. My nephew has gotten really into hockey and is actually learning how to play hockey now because of the fact that we go to the Mavericks games at least twice a year. So that's been a lot of fun. And I've actually gone to one of his practices because he wanted me and Uncle Joshua to go. And it worked out one day for me to go. The day that he said he wanted us to go, I was like, oh, well, I'm still at work and I can just drive over there because my work's not that far. So I was like, sure. Which he thought that was awesome. So, but yes, we went and did that, which was a lot of fun. And then the company that Joshua works for hosted everybody was in town for their quarterly meeting. That's what it is. And it's a company that has multiple acquisitions. And so they have people who work all over the country. And so for their quarterly meeting, people fly in and they make a thing of it. So one night we went to a place called Breakthrough, which it's basically like a bunch of rooms with different puzzles in them. And you only get a couple clues to figure out what you're supposed to do. And then you get points based on it and how well you do. And then if you fail, then like certain things trigger it failing. If there are certain things you're not allowed that you can't do, or like if you get it wrong, then it goes game over and you have to try again. And so that was a lot of fun. Our team, and they divvied us up into different teams so that you would get to know people. And our team actually won, which was fun. So we were probably one of the younger teams, so that probably helped. But it was a lot of fun. And there were a bunch of them, and there were like 40 different rooms. And then some of them are more physical, some of them are more mental. And they tell you on the outside of the room what's what, but it was a lot of fun. And then we went and had dinner the next night at Sporting KC Stadium. So I guess during the off season, I didn't know that teams did this. It makes total sense, but I didn't know it was a thing. They will rent out their suites for companies or like for people to host events. And so we went to the Sporting KC Stadium when like that cold blast was coming through and was in the single digits outside. So that was fun, trying to run across the road and into the stadium without freezing to death. Because obviously you can't park like right next to the stadium. So, but it was delicious food. It was a lot of fun to get to meet some of his coworkers, especially because a lot of them work remotely, and so they don't necessarily see each other in person all that often. And this is the first time I've ever been to a company event before, so that was fun to get to meet some of them and see who he works with. And then the last thing is just an update kind of thing. So the reason I'm on a new phone is because we paid off my old phone had finally finished its payments, and so it was like now upgrade ready. And when Joshua got a new phone after switching to his new company, because the old phone he had was a company phone, he got an Android, like all IT people do, which is fine. And I've actually really enjoyed having my Android. And obviously before iPhones were a thing, I had like, I guess, well, not an Android phone, but I had a non-iPhone or non-Apple phone. I've just never had a smartphone that wasn't an iPhone. But having two people in the same house who have different devices is rough. Because we used to have a budgeting app that we used that we couldn't use while I was on an iPhone and he was on Android, because that company doesn't make an Android version of that app. So when my phone was paid off, I actually got off of my parents' plan and then got on the same plan that Josh was on, and then got an Android phone. So if you're ever considering doing this, I'm going to give you my story so that you know what to expect or what the possibilities might be of things that could happen. So when Josh was switched, because he switched from an iPhone to Android and on a different carrier, his switch went just fine. Mine did not. We think part of it might be because we're using US Mobile, which US Mobile technically uses Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile towers, but it allows you to get like a plan for really cheap, and you pick different, like their plans aren't named that, but you pick it, like you get to decide which towers you want to use. I don't exactly know how you go about deciding that, but because Joshua did all that and then I just picked the same ones, the same one he did. Well, he went from Verizon to Verizon, and so I think that transferring his number was super easy. I was going from AT&T to Verizon, so under the US Mobile name. So my number had to be ported from AT&T to Verizon, which is what they call it. Well, when they did that, one, there was some confusion because I gave them the wrong account information, because my parents have AT&T, but they have multiple services under AT&T, and so I didn't know that, and so I gave them the wrong account number. But we fixed that. But after that, there was an issue porting my number from AT&T to Verizon. AT&T released my number, my phone lost signal, I no longer had access to that number, but then there were technical difficulties moving it from that point to Verizon / US Mobile. So my old number was in limbo, and it was in limbo for like a week. So I didn't have access to my old number for like a week. And US Mobile was great. Like, it took them a minute to finally like give me like thorough updates on what was happening, which when they finally did, I was like, thank you. I just needed somebody to tell me what the problem was and what exactly was going on. Like, people were telling me like they were working on it, and like it was in the process, and they were really nice, but like they just weren't giving me information. And then finally like the port team was like, this is what's happening. I was like, thank you. Okay. Now I feel much better. But for whatever reason, yeah, the company that they used to port the numbers over was having technical difficulties, and so it took them like a week to finally get my number transferred. So I actually was given a temporary number so that I would have at least a phone number that somebody could contact me at if needed. So, which fortunately, that was never, like, it wasn't an issue for being on call. Like, I think I managed to, we got it to work out where, like, it didn't impact my ability to be on call, which is one of the things that's required for my job. But yeah, it was a bit of a mess. But we got it figured out, and I now have access to my old number, and I'm on a Motorola now, which hopefully this camera works well. It looks good. It's just the lighting's off, but I don't think that's the camera's fault. I think that's the time of day and the fact that I have these bright lights this light turned on to balance the light from out there. So yeah, so we'll see how this goes going forward. But yeah, so if you're ever transferring your phone from one carrier to another, just know that porting may not go completely smoothly. And they'll eventually fix it, but it might take a while. So I think that's it for life. Oh, the other life update is that, yeah, we've been, and the reason why I'm filming today and why it's worked out for today, especially, even though I was planning to film today anyway, but this time of day ended up working out because my poor husband got what I think is the flu. He never actually went to get tested, but I'm pretty confident it was the flu based on his symptoms. He's feeling better, but he's still definitely not feeling 100%. And so we were supposed to go hang out with family later today, but that's not going to happen because he's still not 100% and he's definitely still contagious. So we're going to take it. It's going to be chill this weekend. Like we had plans to go do some stuff for the Super Bowl, but we're just going to hang out at the house and let him fully recover and then prevent anybody else from getting sick. So, because I know the flu's been going around. I fortunately have not gotten sick. I also got my flu shot and he didn't. So I'm wondering if that's part of it. But I'm hopeful that that continues to be true and I don't get sick. But we tend to pass things with each other no matter what we do. So, yeah. So he's on the mend, which is great. But we're just taking it easy this weekend. So, all right. Well, I'm going to get off here because that's everything I have for this video. I'll get this thing edited and posted at some point. And, but hopefully maybe with this chill weekend, I can get it edited later and get it posted for you guys. But I hope you enjoy the Winter Olympics. If you're watching the Super Bowl tomorrow, either for the things outside of football or football, I hope if you have a particular team that you're rooting for that they win. And I'm just there for the show because, yeah, my Chiefs aren't in the Super Bowl, so I'm just there for a good football game. It would kind of be fun to see the Seahawks win just because, I mean, the Patriots had their moment with Tom Brady and, like, they haven't been out of the limelight for that long. And the Seahawks, I think it's been a while since they've won a Super Bowl, if I remember correctly. Also, I know some people who really want the Seahawks to win, so that's another reason. But I will say I do like the quarterback for the Patriots. But I think the Seahawks would be a fun game to see them win. So, but we'll see. And I'm excited to see the pregame musicians and the halftime show. So, all right. Well, I will let you guys go. I hope you have a great rest of your day and lots of wonderful stitching. And like I always say, I hope your coffee is strong and your stitching is prolific. Bye, everybody.